There's a reason silence is often mistaken for weakness. In a world that thrives on noise, on loud opinions, quick reactions, and public clapbacks, staying quiet can feel unnatural. But let me tell you something that took me years and a lot of heartbreak to learn. Your silence is not your weakness. It's your strategy, it's your power play, and when used with intention, it's the one move that can speak louder than any words ever could. People will test you. They will say things to provoke you, to bait you into arguments, to throw you off your path. They'll doubt your abilities, mock your dreams, minimize your achievements, and the first instinct we often have is to fight back, to defend ourselves, to prove our worth. But here's the truth: reacting to every insult or challenge doesn't make you strong. It makes you reactive, and being reactive means giving someone else control of your emotions. That's not strength. That's vulnerability disguised as pride. Choosing silence isn't about ignoring injustice or being passive. It's about choosing your battles wisely. It's about understanding that your energy is sacred and not everyone deserves a piece of it. It's about recognizing that your response doesn't always need to be verbal. It can be action, growth, transformation. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding the fire that others are trying to build around you. And eventually, with nothing to burn, that fire dies out. I've learned this lesson on some of the biggest stages in the world. When I transitioned from Bollywood to Hollywood, there were voices, some subtle, some loud, that questioned what a brown girl from India could possibly bring to the global table. I could have gone online and ranted. I could have clapped back at every journalist or critic. But instead, I focused on my work. I focused on building, on learning, on showing up. And the silence, that was my way of saying, watch me. Because silence, when it's intentional, creates space. Space for growth, space for clarity, space to realign your energy with your purpose. It gives you the mental and emotional freedom to choose how you want to respond, instead of being pulled into a reaction you'll later regret. And most importantly, it gives you the upper hand, because while others are busy talking, you're busy doing. While they're wasting time on noise, you're building your empire in peace. People often underestimate those who stay silent. But silence isn't the absence of strength, it's the presence of mastery. It's having the discipline to not say something just because you can. It's the awareness to know that the moment you choose not to react, you're actually reclaiming your power. You're not letting them control the narrative. You're not letting them define your worth. You're simply stating, without saying a word, I know who I am, and I don't need to explain it to you. Let your silence be a mirror. Let it reflect their intentions back to them. Let them sit with their own noise while you sit with your peace. And trust me, there is nothing more unsettling to people who thrive on chaos than someone who remains calm, focused, and undisturbed. So the next time someone tries to pull you into drama, remember this: you don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to argue to prove your point. You don't need to react to reclaim your place. Just stand tall in your silence, because in that silence lies the strength they never saw coming. In a world obsessed with appearances, where everyone is shouting over each other for attention, there is something incredibly powerful about quiet consistency. You don't need to talk about how great you are. You don't need to post every little win. You don't need to explain your every move to people who are watching only to doubt you. Because here's the truth: real power doesn't come from noise. It comes from results. And when your results speak for you, no explanation is ever necessary. It's easy to fall into the trap of proving yourself through words, especially when people question your choices, doubt your ambition, or try to put you in a box that they've designed for their own comfort. You feel the urge to justify, to argue, to make them understand why you do what you do. But what you need to understand is some people are not meant to understand you. Some people will never see your vision, no matter how many times you spell it out. So instead of wasting your time explaining yourself to small minds, invest that time in building something that no one can ignore. I've lived this truth. When I entered the entertainment industry, I heard it all. Too dark, too bold, too different, and when I decided to go global, the doubt only grew louder. Why would Hollywood care about a Bollywood actress, they asked. I didn't respond with press releases. I didn't respond with long-winded speeches. I responded with performance, with hustle, with undeniable results, and eventually they stopped asking questions. Not because I convinced them, but because my work did. You don't have to announce every move. You don't have to convince people you're talented, driven, or worthy. Just do the work, every single day. Let your work ethic, your consistency, your refusal to quit, become the story. Because when you deliver, when you show up and outdo yourself, when you rise regardless of the odds, that's the kind of volume nobody can silence. There's something unshakable about someone who just keeps winning quietly. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's powerful. It makes people pay attention. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. And there is no substitute for that. Talk fades. Opinions change. Trends pass, but excellence stays. When you make results your response, you set yourself apart. You're not distracted by the noise. You're not moved by every comment or criticism. You're focused. Grounded, driven, and that's rare. That's what makes people stop and take you seriously. Not because you asked them to, but because they couldn't ignore you anymore. Let's be real. People remember what you do, not what you say. They remember the times you delivered under pressure, the moments you showed up when no one thought you could, the milestones you hit after they counted you out, and those moments, those are louder than any comeback tweet or interview quote. The most powerful thing you can do is win in silence, build behind the scenes, work while they sleep, train while they doubt, and one day, when the results show up in undeniable, jaw-dropping fashion, you won't have to say a word. Your success will speak all the words you don't need to. So when you're tempted to prove yourself with words, pause. Ask yourself, what would happen if I just let my work speak? If you focus on execution instead of explanation, progress instead of performance, you become unstoppable. Because at the end of the day, the loudest voice in the room isn't always the one speaking. Sometimes it's the one winning. Your energy is your most valuable currency. It's more precious than time, more powerful than money, and more defining than talent. It shapes how you show up in the world, how you pursue your goals, and how you respond to life's challenges. And just like royalty guards their throne, you need to guard your energy, fiercely, unapologetically, and without guilt. You see, not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should be allowed a seat at your table. Because the truth is, people will come into your life with their own chaos, insecurities, and intentions. Some will disguise their envy as concern. Others will wrap their judgment in sweet words. And if you're not careful, if you don't protect your energy, they will drain you before you even realize it's happening. Protecting your energy doesn't mean shutting people out or building walls around yourself. It means choosing wisely. It means being intentional about who and what you allow into your space. It means asking, does this person add value to my life or just noise? It means recognizing when a conversation leaves you feeling uplifted versus when it leaves you exhausted. And most importantly, it means knowing that you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace. There's strength in knowing when to walk away, not out of anger but out of clarity, because energy is contagious, good or bad. The more you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and drama, the more it becomes your reality. But when you guard your space, when you filter what you absorb, you stay aligned with your purpose. You stay clear, calm, and focused. That's the kind of strength most people don't talk about. But it's the kind that builds empires. I've learned this the hard way. When you're in the public eye, everyone has an opinion. Everyone feels entitled to your time, your attention, your energy, and for a while I tried to give it all to be everything for everyone. But eventually I realized I was burning out. I was giving so much of myself away that I had nothing left for me. And that's when it clicked. I had to protect my energy like it was sacred. Because when you start treating yourself like royalty, your standards shift. You stop entertaining drama. You stop begging for validation. You stop saying yes out of guilt, you move differently, you speak with intention, you rest without apology, and the people who belong in your life will respect that. The ones who don't, let them go. Not every loss is a loss. Sometimes it's a gift. People might call you distant or difficult when you set boundaries. Let them. What they call difficult is actually self-respect. What they call cold is actually self-preservation. You're not here to constantly prove your warmth or availability. You're here to protect your light so that you can keep shining even when the world tries to dim you. So start asking yourself, where is my energy going? Is it feeding my growth or someone else's ego? Is it making me better or bitter? And if the answer doesn't serve your highest self, change it, shift it, cut it off if you have to, because your energy is not infinite and it should never be wasted on anything that doesn't nourish your soul. You are not being selfish by putting yourself first. You're being wise, you're being deliberate, you're doing what royalty does. Protecting the crown, protecting the legacy, protecting the source of all that makes you powerful. Your energy builds your empire. Guard it like gold. There's a lot of noise in the world. The opinions, judgments, criticisms, expectations. Everyone has something to say about who you should be, how you should act, and what you should want. And in the middle of that chaos, it's easy to believe that you need to respond to everything, that you need to defend yourself, prove your worth, or clap back at every person who doubts you. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. Confidence is the real clapback. You don't have to yell to be heard. You don't have to fight to be seen. When you're confident, truly confident, you become untouchable. People feel it when you walk into a room. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you don't speak. Confidence is silent, but it's loud at the same time. It's an energy, a presence. You don't need to announce it. You asterisk it. When someone underestimates you, don't waste your time arguing. Just smile. Let them think what they want, because your confidence doesn't rely on their approval. You know who you are. You know what you bring to the table, and more importantly, you're not afraid to sit at that table alone if you have to. I've been called too much, too ambitious, too outspoken, too bold, and for a while I tried to shrink myself to fit into rooms that weren't built for me. I tried to soften my edges to be more likable. But what I realized is that the world doesn't need another watered-down version of someone. It needs people who own who they are without apology, and that's what confidence does. It frees you. It liberates you from needing to be liked, from seeking permission, from waiting for validation. You don't clap back with words. You clap back by showing up and owning your space, by walking in with your head high, even when people want to see you fail. You clap back by daring to be excellent, by daring to love yourself in a world that profits off your insecurity. That's power. Confidence is also quiet strength. It doesn't need to convince. It doesn't need to explain. It doesn't need to chase. It just is asterisk. And when you have it, you move differently. You don't beg for attention. You attract it. You don't demand respect. You command it. Because people can sense when you're aligned with yourself, when you're not pretending, when you're walking in truth. And the people who are intimidated by that, let them be. You weren't meant to make everyone comfortable. The most beautiful part of confidence is that it's not arrogance, it's acceptance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing you don't have to compete with anyone else. Your lane is yours, your journey is yours, and when you stop comparing, you start focusing. That's when the real magic happens. So the next time someone tries to come for you, don't get pulled into the drama. You don't have to defend who you are to people who already made up their minds. Just let your confidence do the talking. Let your glow disturb their insecurity. Let your peace disrupt their chaos. Because at the end of the day, nothing silences critics like a person who knows their worth and walks like it. Confidence is the real clapback, not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable asterisk. There's a unique kind of power in someone who moves with grace, not the soft, fragile kind people often associate with being quiet or submissive, but the fierce, intentional kind. the kind that makes people turn their heads, not because you're loud, but because your presence commands attention. Grace is not weakness. Grace is control, it's discipline, it's strength wrapped in elegance, and when you learn to stay graceful, you become dangerous in the most beautiful way. People often mistake grace for passivity. They think being graceful means staying quiet, letting things slide, or keeping the peace at your own expense, but real grace isn't about shrinking, it's about standing tall with composure. It's the calm in the middle of chaos, the pause before a powerful move. Grace is knowing you could destroy, but choosing to elevate instead. It's having the power to clap back, to retaliate, to expose, but choosing silence or strategy or success instead. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who lash out. They're the ones who stay focused while everyone else is distracted. They don't waste energy trying to prove anything. They don't need to broadcast their emotions or put their power on display. Their grace asterisk is asterisk the flex. You never see them coming, and by the time you realize their strength, they've already moved on, leveled up, or taken the lead. That's the kind of dangerous you want to be, not reckless, but unshakable. Not reactive, but deliberate. Staying graceful means you know how to hold your space without forcing it. You speak when necessary, but you never beg to be heard. You respond with intention, not impulse. You learn to master the art of restraint, not because you're afraid, but because you know your worth doesn't need constant defense. That kind of self-control is intimidating, and make no mistake, people will feel that. It's not about being polite to the point of silence. It's about knowing when to speak and how. It's about reading a room and deciding, I won't lower myself here. It's about choosing your battles with purpose, because not everything deserves your time or your crown. And when you operate from that space of grace, you protect your energy, your focus, your integrity, and that makes you unstoppable. There's also a quiet rebellion in staying graceful, because the world often expects women, especially bold, ambitious women, to be harsh, aggressive, defensive. They expect you to be hard in order to be taken seriously, but grace throws that expectation off balance. It's saying, I can be soft spoken and still be strong. I can be kind and still be powerful. I can wear heels and command boardrooms. That blend of elegance and strength, that's what makes you truly dangerous. Grace is about rising above without losing yourself. It's knowing that power doesn't have to shout. It can whisper and still be heard. It can walk softly and still shake the ground. That's real influence, not in how loud you are, but in how deeply you move people without ever raising your voice. So stay graceful, keep your head high. Handle your wins with humility and your challenges with calm. Move with purpose, speak with care, and let your silence carry more weight than their noise. Because when you combine grace with ambition, with focus, with fire, you become the kind of person no one can predict and no one can compete with. Stay graceful, stay dangerous, that's the real power. Sometimes the most powerful message is the one you never speak. In a world where everyone is trying to prove something, on stages, in captions, in endless conversations, there's an unshakable power in winning without saying a single word. It's not about arrogance. It's not about silence born from fear. It's about a level of mastery and confidence so deep that you no longer need to announce your victories. They speak for themselves. You see, there's a difference between noise and impact. Noise is temporary. It flares up, gets attention, and fades, but impact lingers. It echoes long after you've left the room, and true impact doesn't require you to explain yourself or convince anyone. It requires action. Consistency, focus. It requires you to be so aligned with your purpose that the results become undeniable. You don't always have to defend yourself. You don't need to clap back at every critic, respond to every rumor, or chase every misunderstanding. People will say what they want. They'll project their fears onto you, question your path, minimize your efforts. Let them. While they talk, you build. While they watch, you grow. While they assume, you execute. And when the results come, there will be nothing left to say, because your success will be louder than any defense you could have given. I've learned this through experience. There have been times when I was doubted, underestimated, dismissed before I even had the chance to prove myself. And I wanted to respond. I wanted to fight back, explain my vision, validate my place. But then I realized something important. Words don't win wars. Execution does. And so I chose to stay quiet, to work harder, to show up relentlessly. The win came eventually, and when it did, it said everything I never had to. There's a quiet elegance in restraint, in choosing not to respond, not because you can't, but because you're too focused on the bigger picture. When you operate with that level of discipline, people notice. They feel it. They wonder how you manage to stay so calm, so collected, so composed. That calm isn't weakness. It's the calm of someone who knows exactly where they're headed. Winning without saying a word is about being so grounded in your self-worth that you don't need external validation. It's about knowing that the real measure of success isn't in the applause, it's in your growth. Your peace, your ability to stay true to yourself when everything around you tries to shake you. Let your work do the talking. Let your transformation be the response. Let your elevation be the answer to every doubt ever thrown at you. When people expect you to react, surprise them by rising. When they expect you to break, show them how you bend, adapt, and thrive. That quiet strength, that's what truly sets you apart. This isn't about staying silent forever. It's about choosing your moments. It's about understanding that not every comment needs a reply. Not every provocation deserves a response. Sometimes the boldest thing you can do is keep moving forward, unbothered, undistracted, and unshaken. Because in the end, the most unforgettable wins are the ones you don't have to announce. They're the ones that unfold with grace, backed by relentless effort and quiet belief. So the next time someone doubts you, misunderstands you, or underestimates you, don't reach for the mic. Reach for your purpose, your vision, your next move, and then let the outcome speak for itself. Win without saying a word. That's real power.